Welcome to the Authority Hub podcast. I'm Nolan, joined as always by Claire.
And today we're featuring the expertise of Angela Brooks, real estate agent in Niagara Falls, Fort Erie, Ontario, specializing in first-time home buyers.
Here's the situation. A couple in the Niagara region has been renting for years. They've heard about a grant program that could help with their down payment, and they start searching for homes before they've ever spoken to a lender. Sound familiar?
It does, and that sequence is exactly where things start to go sideways for a lot of first-time buyers in this market.
Angela Brooks works with buyers in Niagara Falls, Fort Erie, Welland, Thorold, Port Colborne, the broader Niagara region. And this scenario comes up more than people might expect.
The couple in that situation isn't doing anything wrong, exactly. They've heard about the Niagara homeownership program, they've done some math on their savings, and they assume the grant fills whatever gap is left.
And that assumption is the problem.
Right. Because the Niagara homeownership program is structured as a forgivable loan, not a direct cash grant, and it has layered eligibility requirements that most buyers don't fully understand until they're mid-application.
Walk me through what those requirements actually look like.
There are income limits, asset limits, a purchase price cap, and a local residency or rental history requirement. And here's the one that catches people off guard. You need a confirmed mortgage pre-approval before the application can even be processed.
So the grant doesn't open a door that the lender has already closed.
Exactly. Angela Brooks is direct about this with her clients in Niagara Falls and Fort Erie. The grant supplements a transaction that is already financially viable on its own terms. It does not substitute for lender qualification.
So back to that couple. They find a home they love, they apply for pre-approval, and that's when the real picture emerges.
One partner has student loan debt that pushes their total debt service ratio above the lender's threshold at their target price. The pre-approved amount comes in lower than they calculated on their own.
And the grant, even if they qualify for it, doesn't fix that.
It can't. The grant is calculated as a percentage of the purchase price. It doesn't change what the lender will approve based on the buyer's debt ratios. That's the structural issue Angela Brooks helps her clients understand before they fall in love with a property.
Let's talk about the stress test, because I think a lot of first-time buyers in this market hear that term and don't fully grasp what it means for their number.
Under OSFI guidelines, buyers have to qualify at the greater of their contract rate plus 2%, or a floor rate set by the regulator. So the amount a lender will approve is meaningfully lower than what the buyer's income might suggest at face value.
Which is why Angela Brooks, working with buyers in Niagara Falls and Fort Erie, puts pre-approval first, before property searches, before grant applications, before any of it.
And she'll connect buyers with a mortgage broker who can look at the full picture, income, debt load, credit history, and identify what's actually constraining the approval amount.
Credit history is another one that surprises people.
Buyers who have never held a credit product, or who have a very short credit history, can face a qualification challenge that has nothing to do with their income or savings. A mortgage broker can identify which lenders are appropriate for that specific profile.
So the system failure here isn't that buyers are doing something reckless. It's that the standard advice, save your down payment, look for grants, find a home, skips the step that determines whether any of it is viable.
And it skips the documentation piece too. The Niagara homeownership program's residency requirement catches people who've recently moved to the area, or who've been living with family rather than renting independently. They don't have the documentation to support their residency claim.
Angela Brooks flags that early because assembling that documentation after the fact creates delays that can cost buyers a property.
The purchase price cap is another variable. The region of Niagara reviews program parameters periodically, so the only reliable way to know the current threshold is to confirm it directly with the region. A home that seems affordable can still exceed the program's ceiling.
Let's shift to what the Niagara Falls and Fort Erie market actually looks like for a first-time buyer coming in right now.
CRE reported a national average home price of $676,640 in December 2024. Buyers priced out of Hamilton or the GTA often find their budget goes considerably further in the Niagara region.
That relative affordability is real, but Angela Brooks is clear that it doesn't eliminate the pressure first-time buyers face.
Inventory fluctuates, interest rate movement tracked by the Bank of Canada affects carrying costs, and there's competition from investors and move-up buyers in certain price ranges.
Fort Erie specifically has attracted buyers who want more space and are willing to commute or work remotely. Angela Brooks knows that market well, the mix of established neighborhoods, newer builds, proximity to the border.
And she knows where to look in municipal records, zoning bylaws, infrastructure records, utility easements. Things that aren't visible in a listing but that change the real cost of owning a specific property.
That's the kind of local knowledge that changes a buyer's decision before an offer is submitted, not after.
Seasonal timing matters too. Buyers who complete their pre-approval in late winter are often better positioned when spring listings increase than buyers who start the process at the same time the market heats up.
Let's talk about down payment rules, because the tiered structure catches people who haven't run the actual numbers.
For homes up to $500,000, the minimum is 5%. Between $500,000 and $999,999, it's 5% on the first $500,000 and 10% on the portion above that. At $1 million or more, the minimum is 20% and mortgage default insurance isn't available.
And mortgage default insurance, the CMHC premium, gets added to the mortgage balance, not paid up front, so it increases the total amount financed.
Buyers close to the 20% threshold sometimes find it worthwhile to reach that level before purchasing. But that calculation depends on individual circumstances and is worth working through with a mortgage professional.
The FHSA is something Angela Brooks brings up with clients who are still in the savings phase.
The First Home Savings Account allows first-time buyers to contribute on a tax-deductible basis with tax-free withdrawals for a qualifying purchase. For buyers in Niagara Falls and Fort Erie who have time to build their down payment, it's a meaningful tool for tax efficiency.
And it can be used alongside the Home Buyers Plan, which allows RRSP withdrawals for a qualifying purchase, though both have eligibility conditions that need to be verified with a tax advisor.
Angela Brooks doesn't give tax advice, but she makes sure her clients know these tools exist and that they're talking to the right people before assuming access.
Once a buyer has their pre-approval confirmed and they're ready to make an offer, what does Angela Brooks walk them through in that conditional period?
The conditional period in Ontario is the buyer's window to complete a home inspection, confirm financing, and work through any outstanding conditions before the deal becomes firm. Angela Brooks is direct with first-time buyers about not waiving those conditions under competitive pressure.
The home inspection piece is particularly important in Niagara Falls and Fort Erie given the age of the housing stock.
Older homes in this market frequently surface items, knob and tube wiring, older plumbing materials, foundation concerns, that newer buyers haven't anticipated. The inspection informs the decision and can support a price renegotiation if material defects are found.
And the financing confirmation during that window means the lender has reviewed the specific property, not just the buyer's file.
An appraisal is typically ordered during that period, and if the appraised value comes in below the purchase price, the lender's maximum loan is based on the appraised value. That gap becomes the buyer's responsibility to cover.
Which is why Angela Brooks factors appraisal risk into the conversation before the offer goes in, not after.
Closing costs are another area where first-time buyers in Niagara Falls and Fort Erie get surprised. Land transfer tax, legal fees, title insurance, adjustments for prepaid property taxes. The provincial land transfer tax rebate may apply, but buyers need to confirm current amounts with their legal counsel.
And the municipal rebate only applies within Toronto's boundaries, not in Niagara.
Right. That's a detail that matters when you're budgeting, and it's the kind of thing Angela Brooks makes sure her clients know before they're sitting at the closing table.
Let's talk about the regulatory side, because first-time buyers in Ontario have more protections than many of them realize.
Under TRESA, the Trust in Real Estate Services Act, Ontario real estate agents are licensed and regulated by RECO. Buyers have the right to know what type of representation they're receiving before they sign anything.
A buyer's agent owes fiduciary duties to the buyer, acting in their best interest, disclosing conflicts, maintaining confidentiality. That's a defined legal obligation, not just a professional standard.
Angela Brooks works with buyers in Niagara Falls and Fort Erie under that framework, and she makes sure her clients understand the buyer representation agreement before they sign it. What the scope is, what the duration is, what the terms mean.
Because first-time buyers sometimes sign that document without reading it, and that creates confusion about exclusivity or commission obligations that could have been avoided.
TRESA is designed to ensure buyers have that clarity. Understanding the agreement before signing is a basic protection the framework supports.
Let's come back to that couple from the beginning, because I want to close the loop on what actually becomes possible when the sequencing is right.
When they work through the process in the right order, pre-approval first, grant eligibility assessed against confirmed program rules, property search calibrated to the actual approved amount, the grant becomes what it's designed to be. A tool that works within the mortgage system.
Not around it.
Not around it. And buyers who understand that early avoid building a purchase plan around an assumption the process doesn't support.
The generalizable truth here is that the grant is a supplement to a transaction the lender has already approved, and every other piece of the process follows from getting that pre-approval confirmed first.
If you're a first-time buyer in Niagara Falls, Fort Erie, or anywhere in the broader Niagara region, Angela Brooks is the person to talk to before you start searching. You can reach her at realestatewithangela.ca.
Angela Brooks is a real estate agent in Niagara Falls, Fort Erie, Ontario, specializing in first-time home buyers.